Hey there, Pisces. Welcome to your reading for the week of September 8th. This week, we are going to jump right in here. You have this card that says the end of a tough cycle approaches. You also have this card that says you're very close to achieving your goal. Love it. Definitely off to a good start. What I will say, Pisces, is I think that you are going to feel good like the second half of the week. Not that you're, again, not that there's anything necessarily wrong with the first half of the week. I just think that the second half of the week is like a little bit, more towards the positive. So, and that's kind of like an intuitive feeling that I have. So that's what I would say here. Again, Pisces, you are in a time where, absolutely you have to save yourself, right? And so, this isn't, as I always say to you, and sorry, there's a dog hair right here. I was petting my dog, so let me get rid of that. But what I was saying is that, again, it's kind of like Pisces has to save themselves right now. And the reason you have to do this is because, I think the universe is trying to make you more confident, more assertive, more successful, right? But, if things just magically came to you, then you wouldn't ever learn how to do it on your own. And so I think a lot of you, that's what you could be learning at this time. But yeah, looks very good, Pisces. You have the Knight of Pentacles, the Five of Cups, and the Nine of Wands in your current general energies. Sorry, I think over time I have shifted more to my left here on this table. Why? I don't know. I think I stacked too many decks here and it just pushes me more to the left. But anyway, again, I think that it's time to get to work, Pisces. The Knight of Pentacles is about planting seeds in those fields behind you. I feel like this is about, kind of like understanding your potential or doing something to understand your potential. It's like if we never, kind of like explore our boundaries, then we never know what we are truly capable of. And yeah, it is kind of like a deep message, but I feel like that's what this first row is saying. You have the Nine of Wands here, which is boundaries, but I think you're pushing your own boundaries. This would be about pushing to that point where you'd normally give up and, going a little bit further. And I feel that's what this first row is saying. It's like encouraging you to reach a little bit, especially in work or business, Pisces. Do those things that you don't think you can do, or, don't do those things you don't think you're strong enough to do. That's where the success will come from. And that looks pretty good. I also do feel there could be love coming in for you. You have the Lovers, obviously, Four Wands, and the Knight of Cups. Could be a Knight in Shining Armor. Could be any sign, but, Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo really show up here. Gemini, Sag, so far, Water, could be any sign, general reading. But those are the signs that show up. Could be Earth as well. So, I just listed all 12 signs, whatever, but there you go. If there is love, I feel like it's been very slow, which I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before. But again, the good news is, as we move through this year, love is changing for Pisces. You have the Five of Cups. I do think you have to let go of past regrets. My one little warning, it's not even a warning. Don't make this out to be a big deal. But, my one little thing about that Neptune retrograding back into Pisces, it's not there yet, but it will be soon enough. The thing with that Neptune retrograding back is I think it could be a little bit of a nostalgic energy for Pisces, where Pisces could say I wish things were the way they used to be, you know what I mean? But it's forcing you out of a comfort zone, and it's forcing you to grow, basically. But it's also doing this to make your life better. So is it bad? No. But I just think that over the next few months, until the beginning of the year, you could just understand, that you will have those moments where you're like, damn, I wish I could just be who I used to be, or, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that. But again, I would I think this is coming up in the reading because it would be a good time for you to reframe those thoughts. Instead of thinking oh, I wish it could be this, that you're wishing that because that's what was safe for you back then. And I think this reading is encouraging you not to not be safe, but I think it's encouraging you to be a little bit more of a risk taker because you can. It's like the reading is saying there's more for Pisces if Pisces pushes past those, comfort zones, those safety zones, things like that. And so I would push it with that energy. You have the Nine of Wands. Again, boundaries. I think you're really pushing your own boundaries here, Pisces, is what this is asking you to do. I'm not getting anything traditional off of this card. Like I said, it's just saying to me that you could be expanding your boundaries or, pushing the limits of what you think is possible in your life. And that's exactly what I would do, and that's exactly what I am doing as a Pisces in my own life. Again, this shows up, again, this first row fits in very well with the astrology for you. So I think it's time to start thinking like that. Like, how can I push it a little bit further? How can I do more? And again, we're not talking about burning yourself out or, doing things that you're totally uncomfortable with. We're just talking about tiny little steps, right? And again, I think that's going to build the most confidence for you, which is good. That's exactly what you should be doing, is basically what your readings have been saying. So let's see. With the Knight of Pentacles, you have the Six of Swords. Six of Swords is moving on a calmer shore. So I literally said at the beginning of the reading, second half of the week, I mean like literally Wednesday, there could be some improvements coming in for you. Or that's like when you could notice that there are improvements. So, again, it looks like a good week for improvements. I would be looking for improvements as well with that Knight of Pentacles. Like, he needs to do something. He's the only knight in the tarot that isn't moving. And so, I think this is encouraging you. Anything in your life that you are trying to improve, look for improvements and you will find them. With the Five of Cups, you have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, definitely love offer coming in here. But, again, Five of Cups, this could say that you have to let go of something from the past. He has 2 cups behind him here, Pisces. So, if you want love, I definitely feel, making sure that you've healed from the past or that you've completely released it will probably help it come in faster. So, I would there's a million things you can do. And by the way, this entire month, right, we have the eclipse on the 7th. So the day before this week starts, Pisces has an eclipse in their sign. And, on the 7th. So, again, anything, again, I think it's a good time to, work on blockages, anything that's holding you back, any of those things. It doesn't even have to be love, right? But, I definitely feel this part of the reading is talking about love. But, like I said, it doesn't have to be. And with the Nine of Wands, you have the Ten of Cups. Yes, very good for love, for sure. So, again, could be very good for you. Ten of Cups is like fortune after difficulty, happy home, happy family. Definitely could be a little bit of a fortune after difficulty week for you this week, Pisces, where there are, like I said, improvements coming in. Now, are things perfect? Hell no. We are not in a perfect time. As a matter of fact, as I always say, we're in a time of chaos until 2033. Does that mean that you should be worried? No. It just means that, chaos isn't necessarily a bad word. It just means that there are going to be, crazy things happening in the world, which we've already seen. And, really this peaks around 2028 and then kind of goes down till 2033. So we only have a couple more years, kind of, of this. But, again, the reason I tell this stuff is because, number one, I think that people shouldn't worry about it because it's just the energy, right? And I think that what people should do is focus on what is right in front of them right now. Like, what can you do in your life right now, right? That's what you should focus on. And because if you do that, then you'll have a great time, right? And Ten of Cups is like a blessing. I like, for some of you, I do feel that someone wants to have a family with you here, Pisces, for sure. I feel like this person is very slow, though. Not like in a bad way. I just think that, again, there could be a person who's interested in you, and it's like, but, I don't know. I feel like they're very slow or they're not making moves or whatever the case may be. It could be, literally any sign that's coming in for you here, Pisces. I'm not sure yet if anything is going to happen here. We'll find out. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Capricorn card that says challenges. It says, it will not be an easy path, but if you build discipline, you will achieve your goal. I basically said that in the first row. Again, and I don't think this is necessarily going to be a struggle either, but there is something about you needing to do something that you don't think you can do. I've been saying this to you for years, probably. But it's not, but again, it's not like going to be hard. I do think, but it's going to be work, right? So you have to be willing to put in the work. You have this bear tree. It says, don't waste your energy or efforts on something that is clearly not bearing fruit. Yes. For, I don't know, since 2016, I think Pisces has had at least, maybe even since like 2012. The lesson for Pisces is all about desire, right? So, but this is everything. I think what Pisces has had to learn is that, especially in love, it's like you can't love a person enough who doesn't have the same level of desire to get them to love you back, right? But this goes for everything. It's like there is this certain thing. I don't even know how to describe it, right? But I think that what this is saying is that the things that are meant for you, it's going to be very clear, Pisces. There's going to be no having to prove yourself or any of that, right? In love, but also in business and everything. I think what Pisces is needing to learn how to do is accept, as in receive. whatever, money, love, spiritual energy, whatever. And it's time for you to put yourself in those positions where you receive that value, right? Or where you receive value in the first place. I mean, you cannot make this shit up. We have Saturn and Neptune will be moving into Aries next year. They're both on their way out. Well, actually, Saturn today, the day I'm recording this video, is back in Pisces. Neptune will be soon. And also, you've had Chiron in Aries for a very long time. So, that's where all this stuff comes from. It's all about value. Second house, right? Aries is Pisces' second house. Even if you're not a second house Aries Pisces, right? I don't care. It doesn't matter. You're still going to be dealing with these themes, right? And so it's all about like receiving value for Pisces. And again, I think that a lot of you need to think about that, right? You show up here as the moon. I don't really feel good or bad about this. I think it just kind of is for you this week. I think that, whenever you show up as yourself, it puts you in a position of power and strength. But again, the moon is about the fool's journey. The fool has to go from here all the way to these mountains. He has to climb the mountain to find success. And, again, I do think some of you, it's like not really a mountain. I think you're just needing to do something you've never done before, And, that is always a challenge, right? The moon is a mystery. The fool has no clue. There's no confirmation that he is moving in the right direction on the moon, right? The whole point of the moon is that the fool has to get from here to here without being distracted. These two pillars on the moon represent a distraction to the fool, but he needs to see something through to the end. Again, all that second house energy, right? Especially in Aries. Aries is all about starting something and finishing it. That's what Aries is here to learn. And yes, I understand you're not an Aries. Yes, I get that, but that is what you are going to be learning during this time. You have the Fool. Yeah, definitely time for you to take a leap of faith. Again, I think that taking big leaps and risks, that's where your abundance is going to come from. I've been saying it for 2-3 years now. It's time for Pisces to make money. It's time for Pisces to not necessarily struggle. Now, there's a big difference because, again, I do think there is something that you probably are going to be working hard on, right? But there is a difference between hard work and struggle, right? And also, I would say that what the reading is stressing is, you can work hard on something that fulfills you. I always use the example of this channel. I work hard on this channel, yes. But I can start readings during the day on this channel, and I can be tired. And by the end of my readings, I usually feel full of energy. Before I'm done with the first one. I channel from source. It gives me energy. So yes, this is hard work, but it's something that fulfills me beyond doing the work, right? And so I think that is the difference. You need to make sure you're not doing something that you don't want to do. You need to make sure you're not doing something that burns you out. So, and, again, I don't think it's necessarily talking about hard work either. I don't know what to call it. Fulfilling work, maybe, which could be hard work, but it shouldn't be hard work for hard work's sake, right? And I think that's the big difference here in this reading. It's like saying it's time for Pisces to get paid, right? But, also you can't it's like you can't do things for other people, and that's not exactly true, Pisces. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but I'm getting a message intuitively here. It's like you have to do things for the right reason because you really want to do them, the things that you're doing, right? And that's what I mean by value, right? And maybe we'll get more on this in a minute. You have the Lovers. I think there's someone who's in love with you here, Pisces. It could be a Cancer as well, is what I'm getting with that, with the Moon card. The Moon is Pisces, but sometimes I think the Moon can represent kind of like just water energy in general, or Cancer. And so, I do think, I don't know, it's popping into my head, so whatever. But definitely love. I feel like the universe is trying to get these two people together. I don't know. I don't know if you're just both stubborn, or if this is two stubborn people, or two people who have their, we go up here to the Seven of Wands, two people who have their boundaries up too high, or two people who need to walk away from the past with the Eight of Cups. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not getting anything intuitively necessarily. Again, I don't claim to know everything. I wouldn't trust an intuitive that does. So there you go, right? Obviously, I don't know everything. But there's something here. It's I feel this is it's two people who are almost resisting it as well, which is kind of funny. It's but also it's you're meant to be together. So I don't know. There's something about that going on here with the Lovers. We'll see if we get more on that in a second. With the Moon, you have the Knight of Pentacles. You already know what to do, Pisces, for sure. it's like it is almost like I see you, Pisces. You're looking off into the distance. You can see it's like there's a treasure chest out in the distance. I think you can see it with your own two eyes. But you're also standing there being like, I don't know if I should go down this path. You know what I mean? It's like maybe you've been trapped too many times is kind of what I feel. Or maybe you feel like you've been tricked too many times out of something that could have been good for you. So it's like you see the treasure in the distance. I think you see the opportunity that exists. I think this is talking about work for you, Pisces, like something that you want to work on or something you want to create or, a business you want to do or whatever. And it's like you see it, but, I think you have to make the move. With the Fool, here you go. Yes, you have the Lovers. The Page of Cups. Definitely, I think this is an admirer. Some of you know who this is, some of you don't. I think some of you are I'm pretty sure I said this to you last week, that I think some of you are just being a typical Pisces, like totally clueless when someone is interested. So, yeah, I definitely feel that for you here, Pisces, with the Page of Cups. And, it's like someone here has to take a leap of faith. So, I don't know. Like, obviously, if you don't know who this person is, obviously they have to take a leap of faith. If you do know, I don't know, maybe you need to do something. With the Lovers, you have the Three of Wands. Yeah, someone has to expand here. I also feel just like outside of love, Pisces, the Lovers can be being at a crossroads. The Three of Wands is about expansion, expanding out into the world. So I feel that a lot of you, it could be a time for you to expand, or it's like saying you need to expand with the Three of Wands out into the world. And I feel that would be a good thing for you with this card. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would be expanding with the Three of Wands, getting out there, all that other stuff, taking bigger risks. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Go For It card. You have this Higher Power card. Yeah, it's like the Lovers. The Lovers has your higher self angel, is that angel that's on the Lovers. And I feel like your higher self is encouraging you to like really make it happen this week. It's like this would be a good week to, pedal to the metal, Pisces. Like really slam that gas down. And give it some gas this week. whatever it is you're working on, whatever it is you're creating, right? I think you're too much in this energy here. You have the Knight of Swords, Seven of Wands, and the Eight of Cups. Personally, I consider the Nine of Swords to be the worst card in the tarot. He is in pain, but not in enough pain to make a change. So the Nine of Swords, like I always say, I don't really think tarot is good or bad. Tarot is loose guidance at best, but every single card has a solution. So, I think the solution to the Nine of Swords, obviously, is to get out of Groundhog's Day. If something is repeating, if you want something to change, then you have to change. You have to do things differently. You have to, mix up your daily routine or take action on something different. And I feel like that's what the card is saying. I also feel this card should be giving you comfort. One thing about the Nine of Swords is that this blanket is a comfort blanket, and it's both good and bad on the card. Because the blue squares have all these astrological symbols, right, in these blue squares on the Nine of Swords. And the astrological symbols are meant to give him comfort because they basically say, hey, you have lived through all these lessons. Those astrological symbols are basically the transits, everything he's been through, in the astrology, everything he's learned in the astrology. And they say to him, like, hey, you've learned all these lessons, like what you're about to do. It's like you already know what to do. I kind of just said this on that Knight of Pentacles with the moon. It's like you already know what you need to know. So there should be no fear, right? It's bad because he's staying stuck in the bed. So I think it's time to like make a change or do things differently. You have the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands, card of conviction, card of knowing that you know that something is for you. It says when you do know that something is for you, it's for you. It's also a card of like waiting for the perfect moment when there never will be a perfect moment. He has a shoe and a boot on here. And the story of the card is that he kind of, it's like he has these two different shoes on and he feels like he had to rush out of his house. So he feels like he wasn't ready to do something in his life, but really he's as ready as he's going to be. So it's like time for him to make a change. You have the Eight of Cups. I think you're walking away from something for sure this week. You have an eclipse in your sign on Sunday, on the 7th. So if you're watching this video early, then, again, there is an eclipse in Pisces. You absolutely could be eclipsing something out of your life for sure. And walking away from it. This is the only card in the tarot that has an eclipse on it, right here. So, definitely you could be eclipsing something out of your life. With the Nine of Swords here, you have the Star, which is good for sure. The Star is about having a North Star. The Star is about like hope, faith, and renewal, getting something you wish for. And so I do think there are good things coming in for you here, Pisces, with that card. With the Seven of Wands, yes, you have the Knight of Wands. I do think it would be a good time to embrace this type of energy. Knight of Wands is like willing to adventure. It's not even like he has to adventure. That's not what I'm getting for you, Pisces. I think this is just about being willing to be spontaneous and not needing to know all the answers. I think that's something that could keep you stuck this week if you are thinking like, oh, I have to start this project, but I need to know that it's going to work before it's going to work. No, not going to happen. But I think if you just say like, I'm willing to see how things go, that's where the success is going to come from for you. And with the Eight of Cups, you have the Tower. Definitely, I wouldn't worry about it because you have the Star, right? But, again, the eclipses can definitely cause tower moments or can cause things to leave our life or can cause us to see things from a new reality. Eclipses are fate, so, and the Tower is about kind of escaping the matrix. So I think that a lot of you could be seeing things for how they truly are in your life, and that could be leading to some big changes. You have this yin energy card and this new life card. Yes, everything we said. You are definitely creating a new life. It's funny that you have this yin energy card because it's a passive energy, right? It's like that is the secret sauce for you, Pisces. I have to be very careful with my words because of people don't understand nuance and things like that. But what I would say is, it's like there's a big difference between, like I said, working hard and something that just kind of works for you. And that's what I'm getting here. This yin energy card is a passive energy card. It's like something that's going to work. I feel like it's going to just work. You're not going to have to struggle, and you're not going to have to prove your value, right? It'll just be obvious. And that's what I think you need to pay attention to. But I love this new life card because she is like being lifted up on a pedestal, and she is glowing. So I think a little bit of a glow up here. You have the Knight of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Four Wands. Yeah, love looks really good, Pisces. I think you'll just know on this person, if there's love coming in for you. I feel like this person is less hot and heavy coming in as well. That might make you a little bit nervous. I don't know. Pisces are freaks for sure. So I think sometimes Pisces likes a little bit more of that dangerous, bad boy, bad girl type of energy as far as love is concerned. And you can say whatever you want, Pisces, but I don't know. You might be, I don't know. I don't know why I want to say this, but I'm just going to say it. I think you could be maybe attracting a little bit of a goody two-shoes, but, this is probably a good thing for you, Pisces, because, I think that maybe for the past many years you've attracted people who are a little bit more edgy, right? And so, again, you might be like, is this person going to be exciting enough? I think you could make them exciting. Not that you're, like, changing a person, but it's like, you meet a person. Maybe they're not the freak in the sheets that you want, but you could make that happen, right? You could bring that wild side out of them. And, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And so, I don't know. I wouldn't be too nervous if they're seeming that way, right? Like a goody two-shoes or whatever. You have this Wheel of Fortune. Definitely could be some sort of change in your fortunes, and obviously this would be good because it's coming up in the area of the good stuff. And I like this. I would face a fear. I would pick some sort of fear to face this week, and we're not talking about like a something major here, Pisces. There's a snake on the side of the Wheel of Fortune. The snake on the Wheel of Fortune represents your vibrations, but also snakes are guardians of portals, and snakes represent fears. So usually to change our fortunes with the Wheel of Fortune, there's probably some sort of fear that we have to face. And we're not talking about like a real fear. We're talking about like the fear of being wrong, or the fear of having to take a risk, the fear of investing your energy into something and having it not work out, right? And so it is popping into my head here, Pisces, that facing a fear would be a good idea. You have the Four Wands. Yeah, definitely could be love. A person that wants to marry you. I'm not saying you will marry this person, although, it could be in the future. Four Wands is a very good card. It is also a card of freedom, celebration, setting yourself free. I do think that some of you are setting yourself free from something here, with the Tower and the Eight of Cups. I actually don't really feel bad about the Tower in your reading. It's like you could be deciding to make a quick change here, Pisces, in your life. And, I think this change will lead to, freedom. Yes, with the Knight of Cups, you have the Wheel of Fortune. Again, definitely a change in fortunes in your love life as well, for sure. Like I said, I literally said this. I think it's time for Pisces' love life to change. So I just think there is a change. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles about planting seeds in a direction. So anything that you're thinking about starting, I would start planting those seeds, Pisces, because that's probably what is going to get the wheel to start spinning forward. With the Wheel of Fortune, we also have to pay attention to what's working, just like the Six of Pentacles. We have to, put energy into things that are growing and working. And then we have to, see what works, see what doesn't, and then go from there. So it's an amazing time for experimentation for you, Pisces. I say this all the time, especially Pluto and Aquarius in your 12th house, right? And I think people think of 12th house, they think like spirituality, what's things that are hidden and all this other stuff, which is true. But also, it is creativity. It is a very creative placement, and especially since innovation, which, Aquarius is the innovator, innovation is creative, right? So I'm telling you right now. But innovation is, also we have to, I'm having a major brain fart right now, Pisces, and I'm at a loss for words because there's a word that I'm looking for here. Iteration is the word that I'm looking for, right? I think that's the word that Pisces needs to focus on is iteration. But which is also innovative and creative, right? Those are like iteration should be the first word, and then maybe innovation and creation and creativity should be the second words in the words that you think about right now, Pisces. Because again, I think that you're not going to just know right away what's going to work. You're going to have to iterate your way to success, and that is the Six of Pentacles. Next, with the Four of Wands, you have the Hierophant, which definitely could be marriage. So, yeah, I definitely feel that there could be a person coming in for you, Pisces. Again, I'm not saying you're going to marry them today, of course, but, definitely over in the future, you could be, kind of like marrying them or, committing to them in some level. You have this basket card. It says recognition and reward for merit. Yes, I was getting like a little bit of a glow up on that star. Again, the star, to me, a glow-up reading, I need the star, the Empress, and the Sun, which obviously you only have the star here. So I wouldn't really call this a glow-up reading, but there definitely could be some recognition with that star card. You have this cobweb. It says protected from negative forces beyond your control. Yeah, you are protected at this time. And, I think you need to know that with the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is, can just be worrying about things you don't need to worry about. So I would let go of your worries. You have this target card that says goal-oriented person. Yes, this is what you need to do. You need to pick something and make it happen. Star. It's like you and Aries. There are a couple signs, I think, right now that really could benefit sooner from the Neptune and Saturn and Aries. Even though they are both retrograding out. I don't care. They've already entered in. They're retrograding out, but they've already touched tips with Aries. And again, this is very significant. So I think Pisces is definitely one of the signs where it's like you need to come up with a goal, set your mind to it, and it, and latch onto it like a trap, like not let go. And if you do that, you'll be happy you did. You have this August card, and you have this box. It says you will receive a gift. I think you are going to receive a gift from August. Like if you invested your time, effort, energy, attention into something in August, you could be getting that gift here in September. You have this September card, and you have this pig card. It says beware of greed. Yes, the one thing that will screw Pisces over the next few years is greed. I'm not calling you greedy, but the type of greed that I'm not perfect, Pisces, right? I could easily fall into this trap as well. The type of greed that you need to be careful of is like get rich quick things. You know what I mean? Anything worth doing right now is going to take time. So, the things that will mess you up right now, money-wise, are like, someone coming to you and being like, oh, invest in this new cryptocurrency. You'll make $1 billion. Not going to happen, right? Because Neptune is going back into Pisces one more time. Neptune and Pisces is that delusion illusion. You know what I mean? It's like, so someone could tell you like, oh, this is going to be really good. And again, because of the astrology, you might get sucked up in the fantasy. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't invest in things or anything like that. But what I am saying is that you should really, does it make sense? Number one, have you done your research? Have you brought it down to reality? We have Uranus will be retrograding back into Taurus November 7th. So it's like, same thing. Uranus and Taurus hates get rich quick. Uranus and Taurus wants us to know why we are investing into something. Not just in money either, in love, in business, in career, everything. Like, why are you doing it? Does it actually make sense, or are you just doing it because you don't want to be alone in love, for example, right? And as long as you do your research, you'll be fine. So that's what I'll say about that. A pretty interesting reading. Makes perfect sense, actually. It fits in very well with the astrology, I would say, that's going on, especially with the eclipse. So I would keep going. Again, end of the tough cycle approaches, very close to achieving your goal. Don't give up now, Pisces, right? So looks good. Thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.